What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Kristen for all who are new and for all who are returning. It's been hectic. This video is kind of, it's not hard to talk about. It is going to be a little bit more on the personal side, and I chose to, or I'm choosing to speak out about it because I kind of wish that I would have been more informed about this condition. And I mean, like, you see commercials about it all the time, but I mean, like, you don't go into your doctor's office and actually ask them, you know, well, what is this? How do I want to start this off? Of course, all who do know or who watch me, you guys know that I'll be 28 next month, and I have no kids. I've never been pregnant. Well, I can't say now that I haven't tried to get pregnant. We kind of decided that maybe we will try. Maybe we will start trying. I spoke to my gynecologist either last year or the year before that, just voicing concerns about fertility. Of course, that comes with questions and want to know how active you are or how active you have been. It's not common, and again, look, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a physician. The things that I'm going to be talking about in here and trying to explain in here, again, I'm still learning about this. So she told me, and this was again maybe a year or a year and a half ago, that it's not common for a woman to go 2 years with, you know, consistent unprotected sex and she not at least accidentally get pregnant. There came a point in time where, and I don't like to speak things, but we're talking. I always kind of felt like I may have a problem with trying to get pregnant, and I can't tell you what that is. I can't tell you what brought on that feeling, or it's just a feeling. If you're not familiar with endometriosis, it can cause infertility. So January of last year, I started having bowel problems where I was constantly going to the bathroom. The timeline is going to kind of be all over the place, but I will loop my story back around for it to make sense. So I started having those problems about a year ago, close to, a little over a year ago. When does the shit stop? Literally. I had gone to my doctor about that, and he diagnosed that as IBS, which, if you're not familiar, is irritable bowel syndrome. And you can get IBS either with diarrhea or with constipation, either or. Tried to get that under control, and those problems ended up progressing, and I ended up having to go see a gastroenterologist who then said, here's the problem, you have ulcers. My period cramps have always been extremely intense. Well, they intensified over the years. I won't say that they've always been extreme. I mean, it's become unbearable. Like, I'm talking like being hemmed up in the bed with a heating pad and like no appetite, like just constant pain. I know this past year I have had probably the worst period cramps of my life. I went to my gynecologist about that. My cramps were so severe that nothing was working. Like, nothing was working. I woke up one morning on like the 4th day of my cycle, which everything is usually starting to slow down. I'm getting towards the end of my cycle, and the most intense pain went through my pelvis. Like, I don't know, I've never even been shocked, but it just, it felt literally like somebody had shot me through my pelvis. I woke up, this pain woke me up out of my sleep. So this was a very intense pain. I knew then that, okay, it's time to go back and have another conversation with my doctor, because this is not normal. I also developed pain with sex. It's just an uncomfortable feeling of pressure down in your pelvic area. I went to the doctor maybe a week and a half ago, and I sat down with her. I told her my symptoms, heavy bleeding, which, I mean, when I say heavy bleeding, I'm talking like I'm changing an ultra tampon, and the ultra is as big as they go, every 2 hours. I'm already anemic, along with the fatigue, along with the pain. She told me verbatim, classic symptoms of endometriosis. And well, one, she wanted to explain to me exactly what endometriosis is. Pretty much the vagina has a endometrium layer. Through your cycle, there are, hormones and things like that promote that lining to shed. Well, what happens with endometriosis is that you have that exact same endometrium lining in an abnormal space. That means that I have internal lining growing on the outside of my uterus where it's not supposed to be. So as you go through your menstrual cycle, the hormones that are released in your body, it reacts to them because they're still endometrium cells. And what I have found, and what she told me, is that this particular lining that is abnormal could be somewhere close. It could also be laying on a different organ, my bowels. So if it's laying on a different organ, it could be causing irritation in other places. Kind of what I took from her kind of telling me about all of this was that I wonder if the symptoms that I've been having as far as the IBS and just those problems, if it hasn't been endometriosis all along. And I just haven't known that to treat that. And my primary healthcare physician, there's nothing wrong with him. He's amazing. But he's putting it off on IBS, not knowing. I mean, he's not a gynecologist, you know what I mean? Like, that's not his field. He can only go off of what it is that I'm saying, that I'm going back and forth to the bathroom, it's uncontrollable, like, those types of things. Well, we think that it's this, and come to find out, you go to another doctor who is checking out a whole different part of your body, and something with that part of your body is affecting this part. She was very informative. She said that we've got some options. One, of course, being the vaginal ultrasound. It's not always accurate. They're not always able to see everything that they need to see. Now, her number one is going to be a laparoscopy, which is where they go in and make incisions, and they blow your stomach up with air, and they take the camera and they look around. If they have to remove anything, they do that while they're in. That would be her number one, is to go ahead and do that. And unfortunately, with endometriosis, having the laparoscopy is the only way that endometriosis is actually diagnosed. So even if you go through the ultrasound, they're not sure unless they can actually go in and find that shit. And that does make me a little nervous. Trying birth control to see if that would not help with kind of thinning the lining of the uterus out. And I'm not a fan of birth control. She told me that the good thing about having the laparoscopy is that once they can go in and clean some of all that up, if again that is what it is that's going on, that women typically don't experience pain anywhere from 2 to 10 years. I mean, anywhere in between then, I could start having those symptoms creep back up on me despite having the laparoscopy. So that's a little discouraging, but she did say that if trying for a baby right now was what we wanted to do, I would be extra fertile after having that surgery done. So if getting pregnant was something that we wanted to wait on, it would probably be in my best interest, a very good idea to get on some type of contraceptive after the surgery. Jones and I ultimately decided that we wanted to hold off and, maybe wait a little later in the year. The goal is to put our name on a mortgage next year, so I would really love to have my own home before we start making children. That's my own personal preference. But of course, if it happens, whatever way it happens, God will have intended for it to happen. So it's not gonna matter where we are. And I fear that I've gone too long with it untreated. Unknowingly have gone too long untreated. The surgery is pretty expensive. In my network with my insurance, it runs $2,400. My insurance actually pays 85%. So, I mean, that's nice, but when you hear $2,400, it's not an attractive figure for something like this. Over my health and over me being able to function like I used to or function normally. I mean, I don't know that there's really a price tag on that. I called and spoke with the nurse, and she was actually ready to get me on the schedule. I know I'm gonna drag my feet about it because it's a surgery and I'm just nervous about it. The good thing is with the recovery is she said that women typically only experience soreness anywhere from 3 to 4 days. Once you feel like you can go back to work from the soreness, but light duty for a week. So no lifting, and and my job, I lift all day long. I won't be able to do much of that. They're gonna have to put me in another section of my job. So yeah, that's kind of something that I've been battling. And if there's anybody else that is more familiar with the topic of endometriosis, please reach out. Please comment. I think that this is a condition that women don't talk about enough. It's a weird feeling to feel like your clock has started to tick. I mean, I'm about to hit 30. Like I'm knocking at 30's door officially, starting on my birthday. If children are what I absolutely want, that I need to be proactive about. And I can't be proactive if I don't have it done. I'm not, honey, listen, I'm not a fan of anesthesia. I don't like to be put under for nothing. Like, for nothing. What people feel with endometriosis or potential endometriosis is not normal. It's just not. And even if this is not endometriosis, something is wrong. Period. The question of infertility has just been burning at me, and I mean burning at me, for maybe the past 3 or 4 years. Recently, just, how am I not pregnant? How am I not pregnant? How do I not have a child? Like, just the feeling of, like I said, just feeling like there's gonna be a problem, or like there is a problem. I'm still learning about this. Please feel free to start the discussion in the comment section for anybody who's gonna come across this video looking just for information, or just trying to hear if their story aligns with mine. Knowledge is power, and that's what I'm trying to do, is educate myself as much as possible without scaring myself, to educate myself as much as possible before my surgery. But I will be going in for that. I think that that's gonna be the best thing to do, and to not give it any more leverage to take hold of my life. During my menstrual cycles, it takes over my life. I cannot do anything. I can't function. I can barely go to the bathroom. I can barely walk. The pain is worth the money. Once I actually do go in for my surgery, I will vlog that, because just to follow that up with this, just because this is a journey and this is an experience. I've been on YouTube for the past week looking at other women and their stories and their surgeries and their recoveries. It's just trying to get in the known of it all. Blessings and prayers for anybody who's going through this. I appreciate y'all, and until next time, I will see y'all then.